Australia's first Indian magazine to have a national reach. Indus Age is the largest circulated South Asian magazine in Australia with 5 simultaneous editions. 55,000 copies printed monthly. 220,000 readers. Largest network of clients. Undisputed leader in community news. Indus Age is circulated in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane and Perth to over 525 outlets. Grab your copy now to get the latest on the community, news from India, Bollywood, music and much more. For more info, log on to www.indusage.com.au.
World Cup T20 is all about action, glamour, and excitement. But today we are with a person who's the backbone of World Cup T20. Nick Hockley, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
We also have with us 2 people, Kamil, ardent cricket fan and a cricketer himself, and Saurav. Thank you for being with us, Kamil and Saurav. Nick, you just celebrated 100 days countdown. How many more days left?
So we've got 91 days to go until a year of 2 World Cups kicks off right here in Sydney. So we have the opening match of the Women's T20 World Cup taking place in Sydney Olympic Park at Sydney Showground Stadium. And that features the hosts, who are the defending champions, Australia, against India. And it's going to be a fantastic celebration that we've been working on the planning for a long, long time now. And now with less than 100 days to go, it feels very, very real. And we just can't wait for it to come around and just to see all the fans turn out and support their teams.
How's the support being for the women teams, T20?
I think we've just seen this incredible momentum behind the growth of the game. I think it really, for me, started, and really my eyes were opened back in England in the 2017 50 over Women's World Cup, where we saw England take on India in front of a sold-out Lords. And ever since that moment, we've thought, this T20 World Cup in Australia, there's no reason why it can't be at absolutely the same level and given equal billing to the men's competition. And, we've seen, the FIFA Women's World Cup in France last year was huge. Here in Sydney, the Netball World Cup back in 2015. So, we have really, we're really looking forward to making that a major international event in its own right, which is why we've scheduled that in February and March. So we play those games in its own time slot. And then the men's is scheduled in October and November next year.
What was the reason of having such a big gap between the women T20 and the men? Generally you have together, or so one is happening in March and the other one is happening towards the end. What was the reason for having such a big gap?
It's really as simple as we had an opportunity to host 2 major world events in the same year. I think, we've seen T20 cricket really come of age. And it's only 10 years since or just 12 years since the first World T20. Last year, we were really excited to see that the World T20 got upgraded to full World Cup status. We have seen every member country across the world that plays cricket given full T20 international status. We've now got rankings that comprise 80 teams. We've seen countries like Afghanistan really rise up the rankings. In the women's side, we've seen Thailand qualify for their first World Cup. PNG have qualified for their first World Cup. So it very much is the growth format of the game. And as I said, we felt that hosting the Women's T20 World Cup in its own time slot, so you can play the main games under lights and really promote that very, very as a major world event. It's an opportunity to really accelerate that momentum. And then, as we all know, the men's event in October, November will be great. So in many ways, we've got 2020. It's a bit serendipitous. 2020 is the year of T20 here in Australia, and the World Cup. We've got 2 World Cups that covers 2 seasons, so it's just going to be a fantastic year of celebration.
That can only happen in Australia. You can have 2 summers, one in nowhere else you can have that 2 summers in a year.
I grew up in Birmingham in the UK, just around the corner from Edgbaston cricket ground, and coming here to Australia and seeing these grounds that are, 40, 50, 60, 90,000, just the, and the technology. I mean, T20 is all about, it's about amazing cricket, but it's also about entertainment, and just, whether it's the Adelaide Oval, the SCG, the MCG, and then this amazing new stadium in Perth, just with all the technology and the lights, I think, we can put on an incredible show for the world. And ultimately, what it's all about is it's about little girls and little boys, and getting into this game that we all love so much.
Now, the English Cricket Board is launching 100-ball cricket in 2020. What impact do you think it'll have on men 2020 World Cup?
I think it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. For me, I think what I love about cricket, it's got amazing tradition, amazing stories, yet with the evolution of T20, it's become really progressive, and it's been the way to get younger audiences. So, I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, the main thing is that as I say, we're getting more youngsters into this great game that we love. But I think there's no question that, now, as I say, with World Cup status, T20 is the format that is growing the game globally, and we've got to remember that the 100 is a domestic competition. So I think from an international perspective, it's all about T20.
Carmel, you had some few questions before you.
The question, have you been the CEO for the T20 World Cup? You've been thrown a lot of questions and everything. How many times have you been asked questions about the India-Pakistan game?
I've lost count. I think it's the rivalry that everyone wants to see in world cricket, and just to explain again why it's not happening in the group stage and the Super 12 stage of the men's competition, is because Pakistan, at the cut-off date at the end of last year in the rankings, were ranked number 1, and India were ranked number 2. So it's just a mathematical impossibility that they could be drawn in the same group. That's not to say that they may not meet in the semi-finals. If one team finishes top and the other finishes second in their group, then they'll meet in the semi-final. And if they don't meet in the semi-finals, but they both win semi-finals, then they'll meet in the final. So it's absolutely a possibility in the knockout stage, but from the Super 12 stage, it was just because they were ranked 1 and 2 in the world. It's just a mathematical impossibility.
And for India Pakistan to play a super, like in the group semi-final or finals, we as spectators and fans, we are really looking forward. So how's your expectation? Are you also looking forward for that clash?
I think we're just looking forward to seeing some amazing cricket. The best players in the world. What's really exciting in this format, I think we'll see, obviously the established players, but it's, there's in T20 some of the youngsters that are coming onto the scene. It only needs 1 or 2 amazing performances with the battle ball to really make a name for themselves. So I think, we saw it in the 2015 World Cup here, where India played Pakistan at the Adelaide Oval. Was just the atmosphere was incredible. The audiences that tuned in from around the world. So it's a clash. The whole cricketing world would love to see, but there's a bit to play out. There's a bit to play out before then.
With the 50-over World Cup, we know when it was the first time it was staged in Australia, we went through the floodlights and the color clothing. So this is the T20, which is first time happening in Australia. Is there any major changes or something new coming up with the format, or anything new coming up with the cricket?
Well, certainly, I think we've studied the history very much, and I think certainly I love going down to the Bradman Museum down in Barrel. I love going to the National Sports Museum at the MCG, and you can actually see whether it's through World Series cricket into the One-Day World Cup, the '92 World Cup, which was fantastic, the '99 World Cup, which I remember very fondly going to watch games at Edgbaston. But I think what's really exciting about next year is we've had incredible support from all of the cities. So the grounds, as I've discussed, will be amazing. The technology in the grounds will be amazing. The entertainment will be amazing. But we'll have activation zones outside the grounds. There's going to be areas in the city where people can congregate and celebrate and all come together before the evening match. So the fact that T20 is 3 hours at night just means that people can have a great celebration during the day and all come to the ground together. And then I think from a ICC broadcast perspective, I think the innovations that ICC TV are bringing fans closer and closer to the game will be fantastic. So whether you're in the ground or whether you're watching on TV, it's it is the innovative format, and I think again it's all about getting the youngsters into the game.
We've seen the announcements made through the Women's World Cup that we've got Carrie Perry coming in with Men's World Cup, and we know IPL is the biggest format at the moment with the T20. Is there any Bollywood stars or is any Bollywood attraction coming to T20 World Cup?
So I think we're so excited that Katy Perry has agreed to come to start with. So the final of the Women's T20 World Cup is taking place on 8th of March, International Women's Day, at the MCG, which is the biggest cricket ground in the world. And we felt that it was only appropriate that we have for this amazing World Cup moment, we're thinking really, really big, and there's no bigger pop superstar than Katy Perry. And she's got a very strong empowerment message. Certainly, my two little girls absolutely love her song. So we're really thrilled that we got our number one pick. Given that the men's is later in the year, we're still working through what that looks like. But we'd love as many Bollywood stars as possible to come, and certainly, we're working very closely with the entertainment sector and with the community to think about what music people want to hear at the games, and I'm sure we'll be playing some music that still hasn't come onto the scene as well.
Nick, could you tell us something about how the ticket pricing is fixed? Is it same for all the games, or there are some changes there for our viewers?
Yeah, I think the main thing we've wanted to make sure that price isn't a barrier, and so we've really worked hard to make sure that all the pricing is very accessible. So we're very proud that every kids ticket across the whole women's event and across every group stage and every Super 12 stage of the men's event is just $5. Which is, and then for the every game for the women's, and then every group stage, and then the majority of the Super 12 stage matches, certainly all of the India matches, the entry price for adults is just $20. So what that means is that you can come and watch the Women's World Cup, you can watch the Men's World Cup, the best teams in the world. If you've got a family, 2 adults, 2 kids, you can come for $50. Yeah. So, this is about bringing the whole community together, and we've sought to make it really, really accessible. When we get to the finals, and particularly the finals with the men's, the ticket pricing is a little bit more, but we're already seeing just incredible demand. And there are still very reasonably priced tickets, certainly to the finals as well.
Saurav, you had some questions for Nick.
Yes. So Nick, we have seen the men's T20 final schedule, and it's on 15th of November. Now, Indian community has their biggest festival, Diwali, on the same weekend. That is the 14th. So how do you think it will impact the audience for the finals, given that India makes it or they doesn't, and how do you think it will impact the people from the subcontinent traveling to Australia? Yeah. Because Diwali is a festival, if I tell you, people want to celebrate in their respective homes.
Yes. No, and it's a really good question. And I think the dates for the tournament was set well before I started working on this project. And as you're aware, there's a whole Future Tours program where the dates are set well in advance. We'd love to think it's an amazing opportunity, and just like Diwali is an incredible celebration with lots of fireworks, lots of music, lots of dancing. The T20 World Cup is absolutely the same. So, I think certainly for those fans that are based in Australia, we'd say let's continue the celebration. And for those that are travelling from the subcontinent or from anywhere around the world, we'd say, many have got family here in Australia and friends. We'd say come and make it a really, a special occasion. Celebrate with family, celebrate with friends, and come and watch an amazing World Cup.
That's a really. Who are the key T20 player to look out for the Men's World Cup? Of course, Kohli is there, and Steve Smith are on fire at the moment. Anyone else you think of?
I think what's going to be really interesting is just a few of the emerging nations that come through, a few of the dark horses. So, Afghanistan have got the number one T20 bowler in the world in Rashid Khan. They played a T20. They've got some very destructive batters. They played a match against Ireland earlier this year and scored 278 for 3. So they hold the world record for the highest T20 score in a T20 international. So I think they'll be a bit of a force to be reckoned with. They play India here in the SCG in India's last group stage match. So I think that will be a really pivotal clash. I think Australia have never won the Men's T20 World Cup, yet their players seem to do really well in the IPL. So can Australia, with the combinations, bring it all together? And I know certainly listening to Justin Langer, and in playing an increasing amount of T20 cricket in the build-up to the World Cup, it's a very, very, very clear focus for them. And then, of course, you've got England, who have just won the 50-over World Cup, and New Zealand, who are feeling a little bit bruised from that and have got some amazing T20 players. And of course, they got to the final of the 50-over World Cup here in 2015. So there's a lot of rivalries at stake, a lot of amazing players to capture the imagination. And as I I'm really excited to see some youngsters come through and make a big name for themselves on the world stage.
And we know you told Katy Perry is coming for the closing for the T20 women, and Kamal did ask about the Bollywood. But what is there something exciting happening on the closing for the men on 15th of November?
So we're working through that at the moment. We're very focused on 91 days' time. I think we've got Katy Perry playing at the final of the MCG for the women's. Here at the opening, we're going to put on an amazing show. So we've got the creative director who did the Sydney Olympics opening ceremony. He's come back, and we're going to have some amazing talent, amazing Australian talent, very much representative of culturally diverse Australian community, some amazing up-and-coming young performers. I mean, I think we've recently launched an advertising campaign, and an amazing guy from Melbourne who's got Indian parentage, Darren Hartz, who goes under the name of Hartz, has recorded the track, and he's just an amazing talent. So, but I think what we'll look to do, we'll just look to showcase all the talent around the world. We want to showcase the cultures of the different competing teams. Our tagline is welcome to the big time. So, we're looking forward to people getting up and dancing and really supporting their teams in the very different ways, and it'll be a great celebration. Watch this space on the talent for the men's, and I think the first cab off the rank, as they say, is the women's, and we're just very focused on making the opening, Australia-India, and absolutely in Sydney, a massive celebration, and making the final in Melbourne, with Katy Perry, just an incredible moment for not just for cricket, but really just an amazing moment for sport.
Comment anything? Any closing? Anything? Saurabh?
Is there any official logo or motto for the T20 World Cup? Like there's generally with World Cups we associate some sort of logos or mascots.
So in 2015 we didn't have a mascot as such. We're looking for people to come and celebrate in their own way. I mean, I think for me, if I think, what's the difference to be going to a kind of a normal, kind of regular international cricket match or going to a World Cup? For me, it's having all the fans from all the different countries all in the same place at the same time, all celebrating for the matches that really, really count.
Yeah.
So in many ways, when we said welcome to the big dance, it's the big dance in Australian vernacular. It's the one that really matters. The T20 World Cup, this is the one that really matters. As I say, lots of expectation on the home team and the women's as defending champions. The home team and the men's have never won it. India missed out on the last one on home soil. They'll be really wanting to win. They've got, this era of India players is phenomenal. But arguably they've missed out on the last couple of World Cups.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of expectation there. And by saying, come and get up and dance, I think the fans are. There's two groups of people that are the most important in the whole thing. One is the players, and two is the fans. So we're looking for people to turn out. You're wearing your team jersey. We're wanting everyone to turn out in their team jerseys, and we're also we'd love to see people get behind some of the other teams that are playing, whether that's the Netherlands, Scotland, Ireland, Papua New Guinea, and certainly support a second team as well.
Thank you, Nick, for the time and the dedication of driving 1 hour and looking for parking for 20 minutes. Thank you very much for giving us time.
Thank you for talking to me. No, it's brilliant.
And wish you all the best for the T20.
No, thank you, and thank you for all your support. It's brilliant.
Thank you.